Hey guys, so we're going to talk a little bit more about pronouns. And if you remember, pronouns are words that replace nouns, often to reduce repetition. So if I said the cat was hungry and she was eating, the cat is a noun, right? And she is the pronoun that replaces it later in the sentence. So this makes it easier than saying the cat is hungry and the cat is eating, which is kind of repetitive. So we're going to kind of go kind of a big umbrella over some common issues and some information. And then we're going to go into more detail about how those work. I figured this was the best way to do it so that we can just get some of these terms out there at the beginning. So pronouns replace nouns, so they do function similarly to a noun in a lot of ways. They must match or agree with the word that they replace, right? That makes sense. So the word that a pronoun replaces is called the antecedent. When the pronoun and the antecedent don't match, it's called a pronoun antecedent error. So let's say you have the sentence, James was having a hard time in that class, so they were studying. Well, James is singular, it's one person. They is plural. So the two don't match. That would be a pronoun antecedent error. Sometimes pronouns can replace multiple nouns, or it can seem like they can. But grammatically, each pronoun goes with one noun, or one collection of nouns, because it can only, it's an equal sign. And so one does not equal two. If the pronoun tries to replace more than one noun or could refer to more than one noun, then it's called a pronoun reference error, which just means that the pronoun chosen causes confusion. Also, pronouns do have different forms for different functions. So different functions of a pronoun are called cases. So in nouns, we call and they're true in pronouns too, subjects and objects, for instance. So the grammatical function of a noun is called a case. Well, that's also true for pronouns because they function similarly as nouns. They replace nouns. So a pronoun function mismatch is called a pronoun case error. And a really common one would be something like, us is going to the store. Well, us is in the objective case, but it is trying to function as the subject. So that would be a pronoun case error. It would be, we are going to the store. So let's talk a little bit more about these and kind of go into a little bit more detail about what I mean by them and how we approach them. So we're going to start with pronoun antecedent errors. These are the most common, and they are the ones that are most likely to have points taken off for. So as I said before, the antecedent is the word that a pronoun replaces. So in the example, the cat is clawing at the door because he is hungry. The cat is the antecedent, and the pronoun that replaces the cat is he. So pronouns must match their antecedents. Oh, look, there's an error with possession here. I think my autocorrect fixed it and did it wrong. In terms of person / point of view, so first, second, third, number, singular and plural, gender, masculine, feminine, and neuter. We also generally need to match in case, but because cases only apply to pronouns, that's a little bit easier. So we talked about person and number before. Person was like first person, second person, third person. I is first person. Singular. We is first person plural, at least in the subjective case. You is second person in both. He, she, it's for third person singular. They is third person plural. The only thing that's new is gender. And I say masculine, feminine, and neuter. A lot of languages have a neuter. English doesn't really. English actually really only has masculine and feminine, and even then it's only in a few cases. Pronouns are really one of the few places where we still use gender. So an example would be his versus hers, him versus her, he versus she. Those are gender. And so if you say, if you have James is struggling with this material, so she is studying, that doesn't make sense because unless James happens to be a girl, James presumably is male, so we should use a masculine pronoun, he. So person or point of view we've talked about a little bit before, and it refers to the perspective that the piece is written from. So first person pronouns are I and we, which is the subjective case, me and us, which is the objective case, and mine and ours, which is the possessive case. In second person, the subjective and objective, singular and plural, is you, and the possessive is your, singular and plural. You is oddly simple. I'm not sure why we ended up changing that one, because we did used to have multiple words for you, but we ended up just really combining them in a way that we don't with any other pronouns. Third person, your subjective pronouns are he, she, it, and they. Your objective are him, her, it, and them, and your possessive are his, her, its, and their. So number indicates whether it's singular or plural. So singular pronouns, I, you, he, she, and it. Plural pronouns are we, you, and they, and them. So gender indicates whether the pronoun is masculine or feminine or neuter. He, him, and his are masculine, feminine are she, her, and hers. And our very small handful of neuter words are it, they, them, and their. So determining number, most of the times is pretty simple. We did talk about it a little bit in a previous PowerPoint. If there's one of something, it's singular. If there's more than one, it's plural. There are some odd exceptions. Indefinite pronouns, which are pronouns that don't refer to a specific antecedent previously named in the sentence. I would avoid, we'll talk about them in a second, but I would avoid using them if you struggle with this, because they can cause some clarity issues. Collective nouns we talked about before. They are groups of people, but they are treated as singular. And compound antecedents are pronouns that replace more than one word, and we'll talk about those in a little bit later on. So here are some indefinite pronouns. So they tend to be words where you aren't talking about something specific, like it the kind of thing we've talked about before. So anything could fit this description. Well, that is a pronoun, it is replacing a noun, but well, anything could fit there. You know, nobody wants that burger. Well, you're not talking about a specific person, right? You're not talking about a specific person who doesn't want the burger. You're saying nobody wants the burger. So these kind of are a little bit weird, because they can't replace a specific antecedent. It's just how they work. And you can, to make it easier for you when you're going and you're checking, I just provided a list so that if you want to make sure that your pronouns and antecedents match, you can check this list to verify whether or not the indefinite pronoun is singular or plural, or whether it's one of the ones that can be either, which is just a few of them. We talked about collective nouns previously. Sometimes we use a single noun to refer to a group. So a class is made up of multiple people, but we refer to it as one class. If we're talking about one entity, it is treated as singular. If you're talking about multiple entities, so if you're saying JSU has many classes, then you would talk about, because there's multiple classes, so you would talk about them as plural. Compound antecedent. So when an antecedent is made up of more than one noun, agreement can be tricky. So let's take the example, neither the child nor the parent shared the food. There are two people here, the child and the parent. So the plural, so the pronoun should be plural. So you couldn't say neither the child nor the parent shared her food, because then you're excluding someone. If the same person is fulfilling both roles, as in the second one, so being a teacher and a mother keeps her busy, the same person is the teacher and mother, so the pronoun should be singular. So when you're looking at compound antecedents, you kind of want to check and see how many people are being talked about, regardless of how many nouns are being replaced, and make sure it matches the number of people or persons being discussed. So we're going to stop here. And then we're going to talk more about addressing pronoun antecedent errors in the next video. So I'll be right back with that.